Brand new episode of the Retirement Lifestyle Show is here. I'm your co host, Adrian Nicholson, and our topic today is buying real estate. For most people, the house you're sitting in right now, or the one you're thinking about buying next, is the single biggest purchase you'll ever make. Bigger than your car, bigger than college tuition, bigger than that dream vacation you've been putting off. And yet, most people spend more time researching furnishing a new place than they do thinking through the financial side of a home purchase. So let's slow down and actually walk through what matters. Whether you're downsizing into a forever home, buying closer to the grandkids, or picking up an investment property to generate income in retirement, we're going to go through all this and have a lot of great content to make you a more confident person when it comes to buying property, real estate, or whatever your next endeavors at hold. So the first thing I want to talk about today is the biggest purchase of your life, which we talked about before, real estate. This purchase either supports your financial plan or works against it. And unlike a stock trade you can undo in 5 minutes, real estate is illiquid. You can't sell a property on Tuesday and have cash in hand on Wednesday. Next, location, location, location. For example, is the place you're purchasing real estate in accessible and walkable? What's the climate like there? The temperature? How far or close is your family? Is there easy and good healthcare access? What is the community like? Here's a fun one for you, college towns. A lot of people don't think of college towns when it comes to buying a property, but they're actually one of the most underrated options out there. Think about it. They've got a walkable downtown and Main Street to get to, public transportation, arts and cultural events, lifelong learning programs for retirees can actually enroll in. College towns almost always have strong healthcare systems nearby because they support a university hospital or teaching hospital. Also, college towns have sports teams for entertainment. Real estate in these towns also tend to hold its value well because there's a constant demand students, facilities, visiting parents, alumni events, you name it. So if you're relocating, especially for retirement, don't cross college towns off the list just because you picture yourself somewhere quieter. It's worth a look. Next, how long will you actually live there in this property or this real estate that you're looking to purchase? This is a question people skip, and it might be the most important one financially. Buying a home comes with real transaction costs, closing costs going in, realtor commissions, and closing costs going out. If you're only in a property for 2 or 3 years, these costs can eat up an appreciation you gain. Here's a rule of thumb I share with clients. If you're not reasonably confident you'll be in a property for at least 5 years, it's worth seriously asking whether buying it is even the right move right now. Which brings up a question that might feel a little out of place on a home buying episode: rent versus buy. It's not controversial, it's just math. Renting isn't throwing money away. That's an old myth. Sometimes renting is the financially smart move, especially if you're not sure how long you'll stay somewhere, or if you're in a season of life where flexibility matters more than building equity. The real comparison is, what would that money do if it weren't tied up in a property down payment or mortgage? Sometimes the numbers favor renting and investing the difference. Sometimes they favor buying. It depends on your time horizon, the local market, and what else that capital could be doing for you. That's a planning conversation, not a gut decision. Next, buying an investment property. Now let's shift to a different kind of buyer, someone thinking about property as an income producing investment, not just a place to live. First question I always ask, what rate of return do you actually need for this to make sense? A property isn't automatically a good investment just because real estate always goes up. You need to run the numbers, factoring in purchasing price, financing costs, property taxes, insurance, maintenance, and vacancy periods, and compare your expected return against what you could earn putting that same capital in a diversified investment portfolio. And if you're renting the property out, you've got to look at cost versus profit, honestly. Rent collected minus mortgage, taxes, insurance, maintenance, vacancies, what's actually left over at the end of the day is crucial. If a rental property is only netting you 2-3% a year after expenses, and you could get a comparable return with less hassle elsewhere, that's a real conversation to have. Managing it yourself or hiring a property manager when it comes to these investment properties. This is a part people underestimate. Being a landlord is a part-time job, even if it doesn't feel like one at first. Doing it yourself saves you the management fee, typically 8 to 10% of monthly rent, but it costs you your time. It means you're the one getting the call when the ceiling is leaking water at 12:59 a.m. For a lot of people, that trade-off isn't worth it. You spent a decade building a career, and now you want your time back, not a second job managing tenants. A property manager takes a cut, but they handle tenant screenings, maintenance calls, rent collection, and the legal side of things. For a lot of my clients, especially when the property isn't local, that's worth every percentage point. Ask yourself honestly, do you want to spend your retirement fielding maintenance calls? Now let's talk about the down payment question. Let's talk numbers. How much should you actually put down? You got a range of options, 0%, 5%, 10%, 20%. Each one has its trade-offs. 0% down programs exist, mostly for specific buyers like veterans through VA loans or certain rural buyers through USDA loans. Great if you qualify, but they're not available to everyone, and it comes with their own conditions. If this is your first home purchase, know that you need 20% down to get started. There are first-time buyer programs at the state, federal level offering lower down payment minimums, down payment assistance, and even reduced PMI rates, which we'll get into later. The trade-off is usually a bit more paperwork and some income or purchase price limits, so it's worth checking what you qualify for before you assume it's out of reach. My advice, talk to a lender early, not after you've already found the property you want to purchase, so you know your real numbers going into it. 5-10% down options open the door to buying sooner without waiting years to save up a full 20% down payment. The trade-off is private mortgage insurance, PMI, which is an added monthly cost until you build enough equity. 20% down is the traditional benchmark because it lets you avoid private mortgage insurance altogether, which can save real money over time. But it also means tying up a large chunk of your savings and property up front. So the real question isn't just what can I afford as a down payment? It's what's the smartest use of my capital? Sometimes putting down less and keeping more invested is the better move. Sometimes eliminating private mortgage insurance and lowering your monthly payment is worth the large upfront number. It depends on your full financial picture, which is exactly why this isn't a decision to make in isolation from the rest of your financial plan. How you hold the property, whether it's your personal name, trust, LLC, or S Corp. This one surprises people. How you title the property matters almost as much as the purchase itself. For a primary residence, most people simply hold it their own name or in a revocable living trust for estate planning purposes. That helps avoid probate and keeps things simple for your family down the road. For investment properties, it's a different conversation. Holding a rental and an LLC can provide liability protection, separating that property's risk from your personal asset. Some people also explore S Corp structures depending on how active the rental activity is and your tax perspective. The right structure depends on your state, your goals, how many properties you own, and your overall estate plan. This is absolutely a conversation to have with your advisor and an attorney before you close, not after. If you're thinking through a property purchase and want to talk through the numbers for your specific situation, reach out. That's what I'm here for. Thanks for sticking with the Retirement Lifestyle Show. I know we've been on a little bit of break, but we're going to be back with some really great content as we're entering the fall. My name's Adrian Nicholson. Take control and achieve your goals.
Schedule a conversation with Roshan, Adrian, or Eric today at retirementlifestyleshow.com. Roshan and Eric are certified financial planner practitioners. They, along with Adrian, are investment advisor representatives and serve clients across the U.S. with financial planning and investment advice through Arete Wealth. If you found this show helpful, gained knowledge, or enjoyed the time you spent with us, tell your friends and leave us a 5-star review. This will help others discover the show. To access our show notes, to download any of the tools mentioned in today's podcast, to ask us a question, or to schedule a conversation, go to retirementlifestyleshow.com. All opinions expressed by podcast hosts and guests are solely their own. While based on information they believe is reliable, neither Arete Wealth nor its affiliates warrants its completeness or accuracy, nor do their opinions reflect the opinion of Arete Wealth. This podcast is for general informational purposes only. and should not be regarded as specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Before making any decisions, consult a professional. The show hosts offer investment advice through Arete Wealth Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor, and securities through Arete Wealth Management, LLC, member FINRA, SIPC, and NFA. Finally, our music is The Chance by Jason Shaw and Audionautics. It's part of the YouTube audio library, and it's licensed under a Creative Commons license. I am Ray Voices. Thank you for listening.